I personally think the US is a perfect microcosm for the rest of the world. Every state representing a new country and its history, image, and exports. The difference between a Brit like me and a Russian could be echoed in the difference between a New Yorker and a Californian. The purpose of this video is to show every reason for the creation of each state in the United States of America. Alabama. Cotton. Alabama's fertile soil and warm climate made it a prime location for cotton farming, especially in the Black Belt region. After it became a territory in 1817 and a state in 1819, early leaders like William Wyatt Bibb, Alabama's first governor, encouraged agricultural expansion, which quickly turned cotton into the state's economic backbone. As a part of the, quote, cotton belt, end quote, Alabama relied heavily on enslaved labor to support their industry and its economic flourishing in the antebellum period. This deep reliance on cotton would define Alabama's role in the Civil War and Reconstruction. Alaska. Gold. When the US purchased Alaska from Russia in 1867 for $7.2 million, Secretary of State William H. Seward was mocked, with critics dubbing it, quote, Seward's folly, end quote. However, that sentiment changed dramatically with the Klondike Gold Rush in 1896, which drew thousands of miners and settlers. George Carmack, who discovered gold near the Klondike River, helped set off a gold rush that would bring rapid development to the region. By the early 20th century, Alaska's significance only grew as timber, oil, and fishing industries thrived, turning Seward's, quote, folly into America's most resource-rich territories. Arizona. Copper. Arizona's rich deposits of silver and gold attracted settlers to this desert territory after its establishment in 1863. Mining magnates like James Douglas, founder of the, quote, Copper Queen, end quote, mine, helped establish Arizona as the center of copper production. The rough, lawless environment gave rise to legendary figures like Wyatt Earp, who became famous during the Tombstone gunfights, shaping Arizona's image as a land of rugged frontierers. By the time Arizona achieved statehood in 1912, it was known not only for its copper, but for its healthful climate, drawing people with respiratory ailments and spurring the growth of cities like Phoenix and Tucson. Arkansas. Cotton and timber. Admitted to the Union in 1836, Arkansas's economy thrived on fertile land and dense forests. With rich soil alongside the Mississippi River, Arkansas quickly became a center for cotton production, and the timber industry provided another economic backbone. Figures like William S. Fulton, Alaska's first governor, promoted growth that heavily depended on enslaved labor. After the Civil War, the state's timber industry became a major draw, as well as fueling expansion and drawing workers to the region's forested areas. California. Gold. California's history changed overnight in 1848, with James W. Marshall discovering gold at Sutter's Mill. This discovery triggered the California Gold Rush, bringing an enormous wave of settlers seeking fortune. John Sutter, a Swiss immigrant who owned the mill where the gold was discovered, quickly lost his land to the oncoming crowds. By 1850, California had achieved statehood, with San Francisco growing into a bustling port. Over time, California's fertile Central Valley attracted farmers, and the state developed citrus, wine, and oil industries, solidifying its economy and appeal. Colorado. Gold and silver. The 1858 Pike's Gold Rush brought tens of thousands of settlers to what would become Colorado, followed by a boom of silver mining in the 1870s. Notable figures like William Green Russell led prospecting expeditions, and Horace Tabor became a silver mining mogul, financing towns and infrastructure in the region. Colorado's reputation as a gold and silver state persisted, and by the time it gained statehood in 1876, it was known as the, quote, Centennial State, end quote, due to the admission 100 years after the signing of the Declaration of Independence. Connecticut, shipbuilding and trade. Early English settlers arrived in Connecticut for its fertile land and access to rivers, and by the 17th century the state had become a hub for shipbuilding and trade along the Atlantic. Figures like Thomas Hooker, who founded Hartford in 1636, played a major role in establishing Connecticut as a key colonial center. Connecticut's coastal location allowed it to thrive as a shipping and manufacturing center, producing everything from guns to clocks, helping the state prosper as a commercial powerhouse in the industrial era. Delaware, trade. Delaware's strategic location along the Atlantic coast and Delaware's rivers made it an essential early trade hub. Settled by the Dutch in 1631 and later controlled by the English, Delaware was a key stop for merchants traveling the coast. Figures like Peter Minute, who established the Dutch settlement New Sweden, were instrumental to Delaware's early development. Its coastal cities like Wilmington grew into significant ports, and Delaware became known for its agricultural and shipbuilding industries. Florida, agriculture and tourism. Florida's warm climate and fertile land attracted Spanish explorers like Juan Ponce de Leon as early as 1513, who claimed it for Spain. After becoming U.S. territory in 1821 and a state in 1845, Florida's economy grew around agriculture, particularly citrus fruits, sugar, and cotton. In the 20th century, tourism exploded as people were drawn to the state's beaches and warm weather. The orange industry boomed, and cities like Miami and Orlando became vacation hotspots. Georgia, rice and cotton. Founded by James Oglethorpe in 1733 as a colony for debtors and the poor, Georgia's marshy coasts proved ideal for growing rice and later cotton. Savannah quickly developed into a significant port, and by the 1800s, Georgia was a major cotton-producing state. Wealthy planters established large estates along the coast in the Piedmont region, and enslaved labor was crucial to the agricultural economy.
North Carolina, tobacco and textiles. North Carolina's economy initially thrived on tobacco farming, with settlers drawn to its fertile lands in the Piedmont region. Figures like John Lawson, who explored and documented the region, encouraged settlement in the early 1700s. North Carolina also became a significant player in the textile industry, with cotton mills emerging in the 19th century and boosting its economy. The state's vast pine forests also supported a naval stores industry that provided tar, pitch, and turpentine for shipbuilding. New York, trade and finance. Originally settled by the Dutch as New Amsterdam in 1624, New York quickly became a critical hub for trade due to its prime location on the Hudson River and Atlantic coast. Following English acquisition, New York City grew into one of America's major ports, serving as a gateway for immigrants in the 19th and 20th centuries. Notable figures like Alexander Hamilton helped establish New York's finance and commerce centers, with Wall Street eventually becoming the financial capital of the United States. North Dakota, agriculture. Known for its wide, fertile plants, North Dakota's economy developed around wheat farming, spurred by the Homestead Act of 1862. Following statehood in 1889, the state attracted waves of immigrants, including Norwegians and Germans, who established farms across the region. The construction of the Northern Pacific Railway also helped North Dakota become an important agricultural hub, earning it the nickname Breadbasket of America. Ohio, manufacturing and agriculture. Ohio's location along key rivers in the Great Lakes made it a center for trade and transport after statehood in 1803. Known as part of the Northwest Territory, Ohio quickly grew as settlers arrived to farm and establish manufacturing centers in cities like Cincinnati and Cleveland. Figures like Rufus Putnam promoted settlement, and Ohio became a leader in the productions of iron, steel, and coal, fueling the country's industrial growth. Originally designated as an Indian territory in the 1830s, Oklahoma opened to settlers through land runs in the late 19th century, culminating in statehood in 1907. Known for its rich prairies, Oklahoma attracted farmers and cattle ranchers, but the discovery of oil in the early 1900s, especially in places like Tulsa, transformed the economy. Prominent figures like Wade Phillips built oil empires that defined Oklahoma's economic boom, and the state remains a significant energy producer. Oregon, fur trade and agriculture. Early settlers arrived in Oregon via the infamous Oregon Trail in the 1830s, lured by stories of fertile land. The fur trade initially brought explorers like John McLaughlin, known as the Father of Oregon, who managed the Hudson Bay Company's operations in the region. After achieving statehood in 1859, Oregon became known for its agriculture, particularly wheat and fruit farming, and later developed a strong lumber industry due to its vast forests. Pennsylvania, coal and steel. Founded by William Penn in 1681 as a haven for religious tolerance, Pennsylvania became one of the original 13 colonies, and later a state in 1787. The state's coal-rich Appalachian region and access to the Delaware and Ohio rivers made it ideal for iron and steel production. Industrialists like Andrew Carnegie built steel empires in Pittsburgh, turning Pennsylvania into a manufacturing powerhouse during the 19th and 20th centuries. Rhode Island, trade and manufacturing. Founded by Roger Williams in 1636 as a refuge for those seeking religious freedom, Rhode Island quickly established a robust maritime economy. Its ports were ideal for trade, including rum and, controversially, the transatlantic slave trade. By the 19th century, Rhode Island was at the forefront of the Industrial Revolution, with cities like Providence and Pawtucket becoming centers for textile manufacturing and innovation.
Texas, cattle and oil. Originally part of Mexico, Texas gained independence in 1836 and became a U.S. state in 1845. Known for its vast grasslands, Texas quickly developed a booming cattle industry, with figures like Samuel Maverick and Richard King establishing ranching empires. The discovery of oil at Spindletop in 1901 transformed Texas into an energy powerhouse, turning cities like Houston and Dallas into economic centers. Wyoming, ranching and mining. Wyoming's open plains made it ideal for cattle ranching, with large ranches established in the late 1800s. Known for figures like Buffalo Bill Cody, Wyoming became synonymous with the American West. After achieving statehood in 1890, Wyoming also developed coal and mineral industries, while its scenic landscapes, including Yellowstone National Park, made tourism a major economic driver. Wisconsin, dairy and timber. Wisconsin's vast forests and fertile prairies helped establish its lumber and dairy industries after it became a state in 1848. The timber industry flourished initially, but as forests were cleared, Wisconsin became known for dairy farming, earning it the nickname America's Dairyland. German immigrants played a significant role in establishing farms and breweries, contributing to Wisconsin's agricultural heritage. West Virginia, coal. Originally part of Virginia, West Virginia split during the Civil War in 1863 due to its different economic and political interests. The state's rugged terrain harbored rich coal deposits, which became the basis of its economy. The coal industry boomed in the late 19th century and early 20th centuries, with companies like the United Mine Workers shaping its labor landscape. Utah, mining and agriculture. Founded by Mormon settlers, led by Brigham Young in 1847, Utah's Salt Lake Valley became the center of Mormon settlement. After gaining statehood in 1896, Utah developed mining industries for copper, silver, and gold, with cities like Park City emerging as mining towns. Agriculture, particularly in arid farming, also flourished with the settlers' innovative irrigation techniques. Vermont, timber and dairy. Vermont's vast forests, supported by a thriving timber industry in the 18th and 19th centuries, while its mountainous terrain proved ideal for dairy farming. Known for its small farms, Vermont became a state in 1791 and has maintained a strong agricultural economy. Figures like Ethan Allen were instrumental in early settlement, and Vermont developed a reputation for maple syrup production and rural charm. Virginia, tobacco. Virginia's economy was built on tobacco, introduced by John Rolfe in 1612, which became the colony's primary cash crop and helped it grow rapidly. Jamestown, the first permanent English settlement, was founded in 1607, and the plantation economy expanded through the 17th century. Virginia became a state in 1788 and remained agriculturally focused, producing leaders like George Washington and Thomas Jefferson. Washington, timber and fishing. Washington's lush forests and abundant natural resources made it a prime area for timber and fishing, especially after achieving statehood in 1889. The Puget Sound area became a center for shipbuilding and trade, and the fishing industry thrived. Figures like George Vancouver, who explored the Pacific Northwest, were crucial to early development, and Seattle grew into a significant port city. Tennessee, tobacco and agriculture. Tennessee's fertile land made it a significant producer of tobacco, cotton, and later, whiskey. Established as a state in 1796, early leaders like Andrew Jackson helped promote settlement in the region. With the Cumberland and Tennessee rivers aiding trade, Tennessee grew into an agricultural hub, while its central location helped it develop as a key battleground during the Civil War. South Dakota, gold and agriculture. South Dakota's economy was transformed by the 1874 Black Hills Gold Rush, which drew miners and prospectors, including those who clashed with the native Lakota people. Figures like George Armstrong Custer led expeditions into the Black Hills, intensifying settlement. Later, South Dakota became known for wheat farming and cattle ranching, and after achieving statehood in 1889, it developed as a major agricultural producer. South Carolina, rice and cotton. South Carolina's coastal swamps and fertile land made it ideal for rice cultivation in the 17th and 18th centuries, and Charleston became a bustling port city. Later, cotton took over as the state's main crop, heavily dependent on enslaved labor. Prominent planters like Henry Laurens, who was also a Revolutionary War figure, shaped South Carolina's plantation economy, making it one of the wealthiest colonies.
New Hampshire, timber and trade. New Hampshire's early economy was driven by timber and fur trading, and it was one of the original 13 colonies founded in 1623. The White Mountains provided vast timber resources while coastal towns engaged in fishing and trade. Portsmouth became a significant port and shipbuilding center, adding to New Hampshire's economic importance in colonial times. New Jersey, agriculture and trade. With its location between New York City and Philadelphia, New Jersey became a prime spot for farming and trade. Founded in the mid-1600s, it attracted Dutch and Swedish settlers before becoming an English colony. Fertile farmland in cities like Newark and Trenton developed as manufacturing and trading centers, and New Jersey became known for producing grains, vegetables, and later industrial goods. Nevada, silver. Known as the Silver State, Nevada boomed after the discovery of the Comstock lode in 1859, which was one of the richest silver deposits in the world. Mining towns like Virginia City sprang up, and figures like Henry Comstock and William Ralston capitalized on the wealth. Nevada's economy was initially so dependent on mining that it quickly gained statehood in 1864 during the Civil War, largely to boost Union funds. Nebraska, agriculture. Nebraska's open prairies were perfect for farming and cattle ranching. It became known as part of America's breadbasket. Settlers arrived via the Homestead Act of 1862, and the Transcontinental Railroad made settlement easier. Nebraska gained statehood in 1867, and its economy revolved around wheat, corn, and cattle, supported by pioneering agricultural techniques. Montana, mining and ranching. Montana's rich deposits of gold, silver, and copper attracted settlers in the 1860s. Notable discoveries, such as those in the Alder Gulch, brought prospectors, while cattle ranching thrived in the plains. Figures like Marcus Daly, a copper king, helped make Montana a mining powerhouse, and Helena became known as a wealthy mining city by the statehood in 1889.
Missouri, trade and gateway to the West. Missouri, admitted as a state in 1821, served as the gateway to the West, with St. Louis as a launch point for pioneers heading westward. The Lewis and Clark expedition began in Missouri, and figures like fur trader William Clark helped open the frontier. Missouri's location along the Mississippi and Missouri rivers made it a major trade and transportation center. Mississippi, cotton. Mississippi's fertile delta region made it ideal for cotton production, and the state became one of the largest cotton producers after gaining statehood in 1817. Wealthy planters such as Joseph Davis, brother of Jefferson Davis, established plantations that relied on enslaved labor, fueling the state's economy. Cotton drove Mississippi's economic and political landscape leading up to the Civil War. Minnesota, timber and iron. Minnesota's economy was initially based on timber, with forests in the northern part of the state providing a resource for logging in the mid-1800s. Figures like James J. Hill expanded railroads, and the Mesabi Range in northern Minnesota produced iron ore essential for steel production. By statehood in 1858, Minnesota had a thriving lumber industry, and later expanded into wheat and agriculture. Michigan, lumber and industry. Michigan's vast forests attracted settlers for lumbering in the early 19th century, and by the 20th century, Detroit became the center of the American auto industry. Henry Ford and other automotive pioneers turned Michigan into an industrial powerhouse. Michigan's location on the Great Lakes also made it ideal for shipping and trade, helping its cities grow rapidly. Massachusetts, trade and shipbuilding. Massachusetts became a vital colony from its founding in 1620 when the Pilgrims settled Plymouth. Later, Boston developed into a major center for trade, fishing, and shipbuilding. Early leaders like John Winthrop envisioned it as a city upon a hill, promoting Puritan values. The region's economy grew around maritime industries, and Massachusetts played a pivotal role in early American history.
I hope you guys enjoyed this video. It's my first video on this channel, and if there are any pointers or tips you may want to give me, please let me know. I read all comments as far as I can, and thank you so much for watching.